I am recording.
As am I. All righty then. Hello, Space Monkeys. I was going to say good morning, but I guess we don't really know what time of day it is where and when you're listening to this. So this is Shannon Perry, writer of Oz 9, and today we have a very special episode for you. It is actually an episode of Madison On the Air, which is another show that I follow and love, and several of our cast members have now been on, at least a couple, not including, obviously, Madison herself. We're going to have a quick conversation with the author today and talk about where Madison came from, what it's all about, and why you desperately need to be listening and why you will instantly subscribe after hearing the show today. And then we'll play an episode for you. So, Chrisi Talyn Saje, could you introduce yourself very quickly, please?
Hi! Hi, everyone. You might recognize my voice as Julie from Oz 9, but before I got involved with Oz 9, I had started Madison On the Air, where I do appear as Madison herself. This is basically a love letter to old-time radio. I started listening to old-time radio well over 20 years ago, and I guess I'll get into a little history here. When the quarantine hit, I was actually assisting producing a play, and then the world went down, so we could not actually put the show up. And I was looking for ways to get my actor friends something to do, and because of my love of old-time radio, I just decided to delve into audio drama. So what I do is I take original scripts from the era of the 1930s to the 1950s, and I put in this modern girl named Madison, and she goes for the adventures, and it's basically commentary and just satire and silly things and 3 jokes a page, lots of fun. And we premiered in February of 2021.
Wow. How many episodes are you in so far?
We are coming up. August here is our 46th episode.
Wow. Nice.
So I do 1 episode a month, and I don't take a hiatus. So it's just kind of continuing to churn these guys out. Yeah, every episode is standalone. They're all a different show from the era, and you don't have to know old-time radio at all to appreciate this.
Nice.
It's kind of fun to go along for the ride if you actually know the original series, because you'll get some inside jokes, but it's absolutely not reliant on that. You can just enjoy it, and you kind of get a little taste of especially the misogynistic world that was those decades.
Right. So what shows were you listening to when you were listening 20 years ago?
The one I really like, the detective noir.
Mm-hmm.
I'm big on the dramas. I really don't listen to the comedies of the era. They, for me, get a little dated. But I love detective noir. My very first episode I premiered with was Dragnet.
Nice.
Which they've got over something like 500 episodes, and I've listened to them all twice through. So love that series. And Gunsmoke.
Nice.
Never thought I'd be into Westerns.
Nice.
But the thing is that so many people in modern day, or at least probably from the 70s on, have spoofed old-time radio. So I think it's become a Mandela effect that we all think of shows of that era as outlandish and over-the-top and goofy by, like, modern standards.
Right.
But they weren't. They absolutely weren't. Because what's fascinating about this type of entertainment, radio itself first began being affordable for the average household going late 1930s. And so people started having these, so all these little networks were popping up, and they're like, oh my gosh, we have to come up with entertainment, things to keep people engaged 24/7 because they're all out there with these radios now. And it is the top entertainment of Hollywood and New York of that era when you're talking about the writers, you're talking about the cast. This is not just goofy, silly nonsense. You're talking top skilled people of that time. Now, a lot of the shows that do stand out that people remember tend to be the kids' shows. When you're talking about like the Lone Ranger. And yeah, those were definitely meant for children, so they were a little goofy and silly and over the top. But if you're looking at any of like the detective noir, anything Sam Spade, Philip Marlowe, any of those kind of things. They're actually really well written. And you might even be surprised at some of the themes they hit even back then. You're like, what? They were thinking about this stuff even then? It's because it's brilliant, Hollywood writers.
Right. Nice. How do you weave these old stories into your modern context? Like, how does that work? Do you use some of the actual audio? Can you
No, I
explain
don't
that?
use any of the original audio.
Gotcha.
I found a website early on. It's called Generic Radio, and they actually have a collection of scripts from, like hundreds of these shows. And I started there where I would download from them. And then when I was feeling a little limited because there were shows that I really liked that they didn't have. And these are all public domain, 100% public domain. They're over 70 years old. So I would then listen to a show and I transcribe it myself. And I do a combination now of that. And what I do is I just take my character Madison, I sit down, scene one, and where can she fit? So the premise of the show is very loose. I say that freaky deaky science stuff zapped her into the past. We don't explain why. I don't think that's important. I think we just jump right in and get to it.
Right.
Yeah, right. And it becomes a very MST3K kind of riff tracks feel, but if they were able to be in the movies they riff.
Nice.
So instead of just commenting on it as it flies by, she's actually in it, talking to those characters and making those comments.
Nice.
And yeah.
Excellent. So who is Madison? Can you give us a little bit of a description of your main character?
Yeah, so Madison Standish, I came up with her because she was just a fun, very Valley Girl-esque. She would be a character I have been playing in improv for like 2 decades or more. So I was very comfortable in her voice and in her skin. And she is just willing to say anything and able to call people out on things in a way like I wouldn't be able to do. And she does it without any shame, without any, I don't care what you think of me. But she also gets put in her place sometimes too, because there is an element of her being excessively woke at times, and maybe that's a little too far, So it's a balance of, yeah, there's a lot of misogyny back then, but wait, you're going a little too far. Modern day, let's really look at this from a full rounded perspective. So it makes fun of the past while it'll hit on moments of the present as well. So I decided she was a makeup influencer. And
How very
that's
modern, right?
Yes, exactly. And like I said, she just gets zapped. There's a couple times in random episodes where she'll be like, I don't know how I got here. No clue what the rules are. Just going with it. And she's very zen. She's like, whatever, just go with it. All right. Nice. So she's never fighting. She's never trying to get out of there. She's never, it's just like, okay, I'm here. What's going on? What's new? What's happening? And she just goes with it.
Awesome. And it's very funny. Do you find that comedy is your natural niche? You said you did improv, which is often, associated with comedy rather than anything else. But do you find that comedy is where you're most comfortable?
Oh,
as
yes.
a writer and actor?
This is my strength. This is what I go to. I was raised on 80s sitcoms, 70s and 80s sitcoms, and that is my wheelhouse, which you'll see that a lot in Madison. You're going to feel in a lot of ways that it is a sitcom. When I first moved out to LA, I got a job as a writer's assistant on a sitcom, and I was definitely I drilled the 3 jokes a page and all, that kind of setup joke kind of practice. And then I found some Chicago improvisers out here, my mentors, and I continue with that. So yeah, I like that I have a drama background. Take what you like, leave the rest. But
Right.
Yeah, my strength is 100% jokes.
Gotcha. Which is great because you ended up on Oz 9, which is pretty fun. We love that.
Well, yeah, I totally resonated with your writing style and the type of characters you're doing. I love that.
Awesome. So tell me, what are some of the challenges you've had in podcasting in general, creating a podcast, getting it out there, getting, the right audience on it. Let's run through some of the interesting challenges.
Well, I will say, and I mentioned earlier that this was kind of a COVID project, so I wanted to give this all my acting friends who were quarantined. I wanted all of us to have an opportunity to perform, and
Right.
I would say one of the challenges with that, because we all record remotely, and then I bring it all together and build from there, so there isn't any live recording. Tech side, for sure, has been a challenge. Trying to reconcile everyone's microphones and their recordings and trying to really learn. And I have to say, my husband, Jeremy, he does the sound engineering. So I do like the sound design. I'm doing all the sound effects and editing and things, but he has to come in and make it all sound pretty. And that has definitely been a challenge. I do feel like my earlier episodes aren't as strong audibly as they are today. I think I'm still proud of them. I think you could still enjoy and not feel like, oh, I can't listen to this. But it's definitely been a learning curve in that respect. And I would also say I feel like we're such a little niche style comedy that it's been harder to really grab audience. I feel like everybody who listens, I've had to personally go to their house, make them dinner, and invite them to listen because it's very,
Right.
very hard to get. It's not a genre I think people immediately gravitate towards. And I think probably a lot of people have been burned by other comedies that weren't maybe funny to them. And comedy is subjective, of course, so there's that element too. Maybe you don't like my comedy. That's fine. That's your choice. But I think maybe other people are like, I don't want to try another comedy because those other ones were bad, and so that I get skipped.
Sure.
So it's been a lot of grassroots trying to reach people,
Right.
for sure.
And you're an indie like us, so having marketing budget is just, we don't have marketing budget. There isn't
What's
such
a
a thing.
budget?
It's social media, yeah. So we rely a lot on each other to sort of raise all the boats.
Yeah.
So that's not a bad thing, right? The truth is, comedies don't compete. That's the thing. Is people say, well, why would you showcase another comedy? It's a competitor. It's like, no, if people like comedy, they like comedy.
Yeah, like one of my icons to me is Gary Marshall. And that man in the 70s into the 80s was pumping out comedy sitcoms like crazy. And he didn't see them as competition with each other.
Right.
If anything, like he had Happy Days running, and the executives came to him and were like, hey, we want to fill out the hour. Do you got another show? And he's like, well, my sister Penny needs work. How about we do Laverne and Shirley? And so it's like, it's not that the two shows fought each other. It does nothing but keep people listening and engaged.
Exactly. And it's not like those days when if you watched a show on one channel, you missed what was on at the same time on a different channel, right? Like, that's one of the great things about podcasting is you can listen to Madison on the Air and you're not going to miss an episode of something else somewhere else. And that's why we aren't really competitors. Yeah, people only have so many listening hours in a day, but it'll sit happily on your phone and cozy and comfortable until you're ready to come listen to it. So
Yeah, just subscribe. It'll keep showing up there in your new episodes, and get around to it when you get around to it.
exactly,
For sure.
exactly. So if Madison is sort of it's not necessarily continuous. What's in Madison's future? How
Yeah,
do you
I
do that?
I have been very specific to be standalone episodes. My kind of tagline, what I advertise is, if you see a title you like, jump in anywhere. I do try to make little, Easter eggs for people who have been listening. Maybe you'll get a little reference because you knew the other episodes, but they're not reliant on it. Now, for this particular season, we're in year 4. I say year instead of season because, like I said, I don't stop. Here in year 4, I did do a 3-episode story arc.
Nice.
That was May, June, July episodes because I had a recurring character. So, a little backstory. When I did Sherlock Holmes, The New Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, which had Basil Rathbone and Nigel Bruce, who were the originals who did the movies back in the 30s, and then they went on to radio with the show. I just did one May of my first year. got a huge response. Sherlock fans just glom onto any Sherlock title, so they were excited to see something new that they hadn't heard before.
Nice.
And I was like, well, if they like it so much, let's do another one. And that's become my running thing now every May, May being the birthday month of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. We go ahead and we play these. We've got different Sherlock episodes. And part of Sherlock, the way the radio show was done, is they had a sponsor who played himself, who basically stops by Dr. Watson's place, and Dr. Watson then sit down and I'll tell you the latest tale of my adventure with Sherlock. And so it kind of bookends it in a lot of ways like the novels were written.
Nice.
Well, I just decided to start messing with the sponsor because the very first episode involved Eileen Adler, and basically he can be a little sexist, and so Madison does not put up with that. And now I've been building each year, she kind of tortures him more and more and more. And I was seeing it was resonating with people who were listening, so that was my 3-episode arc this year. Was we start with May with Sherlock, where she absolutely breaks the sponsor, and then in the real world of these radio shows, when Sherlock would go on summer hiatus, the casebook of Gregory Hood, which was kind of a noir-y detective style of that time, that was the summer replacement. And this sponsor continued his trope from Dr. Watson, where he would do that same thing, show up on Gregory Hood and ask about, tell me your latest tale. So basically he shows up thinking he's not going to see Madison, and guess what? She's there too. So it continues.
Nice.
And it culminates in a horror episode of Inner Sanctum, which has lots of fun and murder and things. So that's the only time I've done a kind of a serialized story. People have asked me, like, oh my gosh, are you changing over to serials now? Is this gonna continue? And I 100% no. One of the things that has bothered me in modern television is when a show deep in the seasons, season 4 or 5, if they're lucky to get that far, seems to feel like they need to shake it up a little. They need to change things, and they create some giant story arc, or they take the character completely out of their element and follow them somewhere else. And it basically goes away from the original premise that was why I liked the show in the first place. Mm-hmm. And it no longer resembles that show. Yes, I like these characters, but I don't want to see them in this, now they're in the tropics. They were supposed to be in, New York. What's going on? Things like that. So I am actively making sure that when we come back to Madison after this 3-story arc, boom, we're back to standalone episodes. It's the formula we've been doing from the beginning.
Nice.
So that was my long answer to your question.
That's good. That's awesome. In these episodes, does Madison take on a character in a sort of quantum leap sort of way? Is she always Madison just in addition to the story? How does that work?
She is just Madison. Everyone knows her as Madison, sees her as Madison. She will replace a character.
Got it.
And I try to give an excuse, like Dr. Watson, when she is with Sherlock, she is stepping in for Dr. Watson, but Sherlock is aware, hey, Watson got busy, you're with me today, whatever it was.
Gotcha.
I only once did a quantum leap, and it was a very intentional story of the Green Hornet.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
The Green Hornet, with Cato, I decided with my friend Steve Junn, we would address the Asian racism, which is very heavy in this era. Mm-hmm. And so he played Cato, and I wrote the story where Madison steps in, where everyone does think she is the Green Hornet. They all see her as that, except for Cato.
Aha.
And I kind of get to play back and forth where Cato uses the broken English and stuff when he's around the other people, because that's what they want to see.
Right.
They're only seeing what they want to see. But then when he's with Madison, because he knows her reality, she now sees his reality. He's actually, I make him the driving force in the story, where he's solving all the problems, he's saving the day. So that was very intentional. But otherwise, no, she is completely Madison. Awesome. And people just kind of acceptor. There's no real, I don't want to weigh the episode down with, how did you get here? You're so weird. What, so it's just kind of like, yep, you're here. You're my assistant. You're my partner today, whatever.
Nice. So given the way you do this, that must mean you need a lot of actors, right? Because each episode features a new situation, and presumably you're using a lot of new voices each time. How do you find folks to fill all those roles?
Yeah, this is a full cast episodes. I started by relying on my local friends here in Los Angeles. Again, kind of giving them something to do. Hey, do you have a decent microphone set up? Let's see what we can do. Nice. Some stayed, some kind of went their own way. And after Madison kind of got some traction, I'd have some people reach out to me. Hey, I love your show. Can I do something? And I'm always happy to give someone a new try. I might put them in a small role, a one-off scene, kind of see how it all works out. But it's generally, I don't hold auditions. It's people who are referred to me, or people who I've gotten to know, like Bonnie, obviously from Oz 9, being great getting to know her through your show, and I had a role that I kind of thought she would be great for, and I reached out to her, so she's kind of been added to my roster now and will pop up in episodes.
Nice.
For sure. Obviously, Sarah. I'm limited. I don't do a lot of British-related shows, except for Sherlock, but I do try to bring Sarah in, and she's fantastic. So it's definitely... it's who do I know? Because the trouble is I don't do any, rehearsals. I don't do any table reads. I need to rely on my cast kind of getting me and my humor and what we're trying to do and understanding old-time radio.
Right.
Because most of the people are straight men to Madison.
Right.
So I need people who can play the drama in this comedy of the original series so that the Madison moments stand out even better. So that's why it's kind of like I keep this small roster of people. One of my actors referred to it as being like on contract for MGM, where all of a sudden I'll call him up and I'm like, hey, I got a new role for you.
Nice.
Which is fun. I hope my actors are having a ball getting to bounce around and play different characters, things that they maybe didn't think about, and now they're the bad guy, now they're the one being killed, now they're a little girl, fun things.
Right. Yep. Reminder to actors out there that's why podcasting is so great. Because we don't see your face, you could do a whole lot of different things.
100%. Because I being in Hollywood as long as I've been, I'm at the age where there aren't a lot of roles for me. And when it's just the voice,
right,
you can be anything you want to be.
Right. What shows do you listen to?
Oz 9.
Yay!
Yay! Honestly, I try to listen to any of the people I've met shows. I do lean more towards. I like the full cast comedy, or not even comedy, full cast. I've listened to A Human Be Gone. I find that has a lot of great energy and great writing. Right now I'm listening to October Pod AM. Nice. Which is kind of an anthology of horror. They're short stories. Some are kind of acted out. Some are maybe more narrator-driven, so it's a nice variety. Tales of the Monster Hunters, that turned out to be someone I connected with online, and in fact, I joined his cast, too.
Nice.
If I hang around long enough, I'll be on everybody's show. Well, and I love that there's a part of me, I feel like I should be an agent for my voice actors. I am not in a position where I could pay anybody. It literally is just me doing everything, and then my husband does his part. So my trade-off is I try to give my actors exposure.
Right,
and
right.
I'm constantly getting people like, can you recommend somebody? I'm like, yeah, here, who's on my roster? Who do I know? So I'm like sharing my actors all the time.
Exactly. That's one of the benefits. So can folks support you? Do you have a Patreon, a Ko-fi, whatever that thing is? Do you have any of those?
I do have Ko-fi right now, which is accessible on my website, MadisonOnTheAir.com. I am hoping to be starting up a Patreon here for August, actually. I hadn't started it yet. I guess I've been feeling like well, why would anyone want to give me money? No, it's like, I've been like, really, just give me earballs. That's all I want is your earballs. But I have had some people say, hey, I'd throw you a couple bucks. Why don't you throw up a Patreon? So that is definitely in my very near future.
Awesome. That's fantastic. All right. So that's MadisonOnTheAir.com. And where can folks listen to you? Because we always have to ask that question as if we don't know the answer.
I am on every podcast platform I can get to, as well as YouTube. If you are someone who likes to listen via YouTube, you can find Madison on the Air episodes there as well. Again, on our website, I have my link tree, which will have a direct link to all of them, everything from Spotify to Apple to, Pandora, you name it, we're up there.
Awesome. And what is something that I didn't know to ask you, but you wish I had?
To reiterate, we're in the now post-Barbie era, and it's becoming a woman awakening of female comedy force. Yeah. And I just want everyone to go, I'm your grassroots Barbie. Come on out, take a listen. I've been writing comedy for decades. I am here. I am your Barbie. And hopefully you just have fun with it.
Awesome. All right, well, everybody, please stay tuned for an episode of Madison on the Air. Chrisi, which episode are we going to hear?
This is an adaptation of the 1956 classic science fiction movie Forbidden Planet, starring Leslie Nielsen originally. It's the Robbie the Robot. It was done as a radio drama in Australia on the Caltex Theatre, and we've adapted that. So it's crazy, it's fun, it's sci-fi, go for it.
Awesome. All right, everybody, listen up. Here comes Madison on the Air.
Now Madison was working super hard on a makeup tutorial show. She was teaching smoky eyes to folks out there who really wanted to know when some freaky deaky science stuff only understood by nerds zapped her into old radio shows, the kind you might never have heard. Now she should probably be trying to get out, but Madison, she's having fun living an old-time radio life. Our explanation is done.
Madison is on the air.
Hello, I am Brian Sexton from Irish Science Fiction, which is also a podcast that I'll be sure to plug later on. But welcome to the Caltex Theatre, or what was the Caltex Theatre back in 1956. If you were alive at the time, and good for you if you were, they presented a full hour of dramatic entertainment broadcast over a nationwide network of stations throughout Australia. Which means if any of you listening out there were alive, chances are you didn't hear the original broadcast, as our geographical analytics indicate we have a poor showing in Australia. To those handful of Aussies who do subscribe to us, be rest assured we will not be making any reference to kangaroos, Foster's beer, or Vegemite sandwiches. Nor will we be having any character at any time say, "G'day, mate," unless, of course, you believe those things will boost our numbers in Australia, which time we will be happy to pander. Where was I? All right, yeah, the Caltex Theatre. You may never have heard their work, but chances are, if you like a good 1950s sci-fi movie, and who doesn't, you have heard of the film that they adapted that we're going to further adapt for you right now. It's a fascinating science fiction story set in a world of tomorrow. It is MGM. It is Leslie Nielsen. It is Robbie the Robot. It is Forbidden Planet! In the final decade of the 21st century, men and women in rocket ships landed on the moon. 21st century. That bit didn't hold up very well now, did it? I suppose NASA wasn't started until 1958, so the writer had zero confidence that the American space program would not only become a reality, but they could accomplish anything as early as 1969. But this is science fiction after all, so let's not worry about that. By 2200 AD, they had reached the moon and the other planets in our solar system. Almost at once, there followed discovery of hyperdrive, through which the speed of light was attained and later greatly surpassed. So at last, mankind began the conquest and colonization of deep space. Because in the history of mankind, why go any place at all if not to conquest and colonize? The United Planets cruiser C-57D was more than a year out from Earth base on a special mission to the planetary system of the great main sequence star Altair, which actually is a real star for those of you who wanted some science in your fiction. We join the crew now on approach to Altair's fourth planet. In reality, no planets have been discovered around the star Altair. But there's your fiction.
When do we get a DC fix, Jerry?
30 seconds, Skipper. Ship on course, sir. We'll reach DC point at 17:01. That's less than 3 minutes now.
Quinn, we'll drop back below light speed in about 3 minutes. Got your breakable gear stored.
Aye, aye, sir.
DC set and punched in, Skipper.
Attention, Commander Adams to crew. All hands squared away to decelerate. DC station.
Hey, the speaker in the corridor was crackling a bit. Can you repeat that last part?
Standish, what are you doing on the bridge? The cook is confined to the galley.
Yeah, right. You'd love the one female crew member to be confined to the kitchen.
Skipper, there's Altair coming up on the screen. Right on the nose.
Okay, Jerry, punch out an orbit on the fourth planet.
Aye, aye, Skipper.
Attention, Commander Adams to crew, attention. Our destination, Altair 4, is now visible on the main view plate. As you recollect from your briefing lectures, this is an Earth-type planet. 20 years ago, the spacecraft Bellerophon landed here with a prospecting party of scientists. Our mission is to search for survivors. That is all.
Thanks for the recap. I'm sure everyone on board had completely forgotten what our mission was. We've been all sitting around for the last year like, dude, do you remember what we're doing here?
You might be safer in the galley.
Look, Skipper, there it is.
The Lord certainly made some beautiful worlds.
I always thought that worlds were formed by the self-accretion of cosmic dust left over from the birth of the protostar, which over billions of years coalesces into a planet. But we can go with the Lord.
Attention, Commander Adams to crew. We are now entering the atmosphere of Altair 4. No survival suits will be required upon landing. Oxygen content 4.7 richer than as standard. Gravity only 0.897.
Aw, look at you excusing away the cast having to wear bulky spacesuits for the benefit of the plot.
Sir, we're being radar scanned.
Can you zero on it?
Radio contact, sir. Monitors indicate there's a voice here.
Human?
Yes, sir.
I got it!
Standish?
Yellow.
Spaceship, identify yourself. You are being tracked.
This is Madison Standish. Who's this?
Morbius of the Bellerophon.
Quinn, patch me in.
I can't, sir. She's hosting the call now. I can only sign you in as a guest.
Standish, relinquish the comm line.
Shh, I can't hear. What was that? Morbius Bellerophon?
I am Edward Morbius of the Bellerophon.
Edward Morbius. Jerry, look that name up.
Yep, here it is. His name's on the passenger list. Morbius E. Ph.D. Lit D. Expedition Philologist.
What do you wish here, cruiser?
Oh, we just swung by to check to see if you were all, like, dead or whatever.
Naturally, I appreciate your concern, but absolutely no assistance of any kind is required.
Commander, he says he's fine. Does that mean we can go home?
Give me that comm line.
I can do this? Jeez! I guess we have to wait till the 60s for Nichelle Nichols to become the first female comm officer.
Dr. Morbius, this is Commander John J. Adams. We're your relief, sir. We're very glad to find you alive. Dr. Morbius, are you there?
You probably hung up on him.
Quinn!
Line is still engaged, sir.
Dr. Morbius, my orders are to survey the situation on Altair 4.
Let me repeat, I'm in no sort of difficulty here. Your best procedure will be to turn back at once without landing.
Sorry, sir, but those aren't my orders.
Commander, if you set down on this planet, I warn you that I cannot be answerable for the safety of either your ship or your crew.
That's a pretty solid no.
He can't say no. My orders are... Why am I arguing with you? You're the cook.
And not even a very good one.
Expect a loogie floating in your next coffee.
Dr. Morbius, I require landing coordinates. I'll be obliged if you'll supply me with them.
Very well, and I wash my hands of all responsibility.
Coordinates coming through now, sir.
Commander, I strongly urge you to reconsider.
Quinn, cut him off.
Please permit me to recommend that...
Yeah, why listen to the guy warning us about impending danger? He's only a scientist who's been living on the planet for 20 years. I'm sure the one Google search you did makes you way more knowledgeable than him.
And with that, the C-57D space cruiser landed. The men and Madison stepped out onto the alien soil and cautiously surmised their surroundings, with a few flippant remarks, as only an arrogant human getting his first glimpse at something new is likely to do. It was at this point that a whirling, spinning, rapidly moving cloud of dust came over the horizon and headed directly for the new arrivals. It was Lieutenant Ostro, known to the crew as Doc, presumably called so because he was the only scientist their grant could afford to fund on this trip, who first recognized that what generated the whirling, spinning, rapidly moving cloud of dust was a vehicle manned by a non-man, but rather a robot.
You see the vehicle? There's a mechanical creature in charge of it.
Take it steady now, Doc. Everyone, be on alert.
I've got my blaster ready, Skipper.
So, the 1950s could imagine people flying at the speed of light to other planets, but a self-driving car is like, what sorcery is this?
Welcome to Altair 4, gentlemen.
Gentlemen? Okay, I get that these onesie jumpsuits aren't very flattering to my figure, but I did bedazzle mine with some rhinestones, giving it a Madison the Label original look. Madison the Label is a chic Australian clothing line? Get it? The show is from Australia, and I'm Madison? Okay, well, hopefully the two Australians who listen got it.
I am to transport you to the residence.
It talks.
If you think a talking robot is amazing, Siri is gonna blow your mind.
Madison.
If you do not speak English, I am at your disposal with 187 other languages, along with their various dialects and subtongues.
If we don't speak English, how can we understand you telling us in English that you speak other languages besides English?
Madison.
Colloquial English will do fine, thank you.
And since we already spoke to your, master or whatever over the comm on the ship, I think you already know we speak English. So really, this is a pointless conversation and clearly just you showing off.
That's it.
Why'd you move away from me?
I don't want to be in blaster range when that mechanical man decides to take you out.
Would you two keep it down? I'm trying to communicate with this... I'm sorry, no offense, but you are a robot, aren't you?
Robot? Did he say robit?
That is correct, sir.
No, it's not correct. It's robot. This is not a tomato-tomato situation, because no one says tomato either.
Let's call the whole thing off.
Shut up.
For your convenience, I am honored to respond to the name Robbie.
It's a nice climate you have here, Robbie. High oxygen content.
I rarely use it myself, sir. With my metallic structure, it promotes rust.
Hey, Doc, is it a male or a female?
Why, you horn dog? You looking to hook up with a sex bot?
What?
Then let's keep gender out of the conversation, all right? How Robbie identifies is none of our business.
Will you get in the vehicle, gentlemen?
Of course, it would be nice if he got my gender right maybe once.
Doc, Jerry, come along with me. Standish, I didn't include you in that.
It's okay. I'm not offended.
Get out of the vehicle.
Passengers will please fasten their seatbelts.
Too late.
Seatbelts? It looks after us like a mother.
Oh, 1950s with no seatbelt laws. People just flying through the windshields. Ah, the good old days.
So, Robbie the Robot, or Robot if you prefer, transported the team consisting of Commander John J. Adams, Lieutenant Doc Ostro, Jerry, now we haven't mentioned his full name or rank, but I don't suppose you really care, and Madison to the residence of Dr. Edward Morbius. They all sat down for a lovely lunch, catered by Robbie himself. There's a bit of description of how Robbie generated the food, which was really done better a decade later by Star Trek and the Replicator. The one obvious difference being that on Star Trek, you didn't have to retrieve your meal from a humanoid's stomach, which, we all know, is just north of the humanoid's crotch, making meals on Star Trek significantly less awkward. We rejoin our story just as Jerry makes one of his many sexist remarks that permeate this classic 1950s film.
Well, Robbie's a housewife's dream.
Plus absolute obedience.
But do not attribute feelings to him, gentlemen.
Don't worry. They don't attribute feelings to women. Why would they attribute feelings to a robot?
Robbie is simply a tool.
They're the tools.
Robbie is tremendously strong. He could quite easily topple this whole house off its foundation.
In the wrong hands, mightn't such a tool become a deadly weapon?
No, Doctor. Because, you see, there happens to be a built-in safety factor. Commander, may I borrow that formidable-looking sidearm of yours?
Yes?
Thank you. Now, Robbie, point this thing at that fruit tree out there on the terrace.
Yes, Morbius.
Fire.
That fruit tree only had 1 day left till retirement.
Disintegrated entirely.
What does that prove?
One moment, Commander, one moment. All right, Robbie, you understand that mechanism?
Yes, Morbius. A simple blaster.
All right. Now, turn around here. Point it at the commander.
What?
Now, wait a minute.
Ooh, this just got good.
Aim right between the eyes.
Commander!
Stand down, Lieutenant.
Fire. Now, see? He's helpless. His whole electronic being is in a most distressing turmoil. He's locked in a sub-electronic dilemma between my direct orders and his basic inhibitions against harming rational beings.
The way he's shaking, it's how I imagine a jukebox feels when it's forced to play doo-wah-diddy-diddy over and over.
Order cancelled. If I were to allow that distress to continue, he would blow every circuit in his body.
How sadistic of you.
Dr. Morbius, how did you come by such a mechanism?
Oh, I didn't come by him, Doctor. I just tinkered him together during my first 2 months here.
You mean you made it?
A useful enough toy?
Dr. Morbius, you're a philologist, an expert in words and languages, their origins and meanings.
Thanks for the definition, because I doubt anyone listening had that on the tip of their tongue.
Yet this robot of yours is beyond the combined resources of all Earth's physical science.
My dear Commander, I think you overestimate both Robbie and myself. Now then, this has been very pleasant. You've seen how comfortable I am here. No hardships, no special difficulties, and no need at all for military assistance. I dare say you've become impatient to get back to Earth base.
Dude, we just drove a year to get here. One lousy lunch and you're kicking us out?
We'll be heading back, sir, the moment we've interviewed the other members of the Bellerophon party.
The others? But there are no others, Commander.
What?
Before the first year was out, they'd all, every man and woman, succumbed to a sort of planetary force here. Some dark, terrible, incomprehensible force.
Guy all alone on a planet who builds himself a robot. Jerry, you might get lucky. It probably is a sex bot.
Only my wife and myself were immune.
He has a wife.
He might be into kink.
And how do you account for your immunity, Dr. Morbius?
Well, my wife and I differed from the others in our special love of this new world. I remember how, when the vote was taken to return to Earth, she and I were utterly heartbroken.
Looking around your home, I thought Robbie had some very charming, feminine touches.
Yeah, not a single poster of a girl in a bikini spread eagle over a Trans Am. A woman must live here.
My dear wife died a few months after the outbreak, but in her case it was of natural causes.
Oh, I'm very sorry.
Dr. Morbius, just what were the symptoms of all those other deaths? The unnatural ones, I mean.
The symptoms were very striking, Commander. One by one, in spite of every possible safeguard, my co-workers were torn literally limb from limb.
Limbs torn off? That's not a symptom. You don't go to the doctor and they're all like, do you have any coughing, sneezing, limbs being torn from your body?
What caused it?
Some devilish thing that never once showed itself.
And the Bellerophon?
Vaporized, as the 3 remaining survivors tried to take off in the ship.
And yet, in all these 19 years, you personally have never again been bothered by this planetary force.
Only in nightmares of those times. I seem to feel the creature is lurking somewhere close at hand, sly and irresistible, waiting to be re-invoked for murder.
Well, that's going to put a damper on tourism, isn't it?
Father.
Alta, I specifically asked you not to join us for lunch.
Oh, but Father, lunch is over. I'm sure you never said a word about not coming in for coffee.
A girl?
And brother, is she terrific.
Take it easy now, Jerry.
Yeah, careful, Jerry. I bet that robot could have you neutered.
This is my daughter, Alta.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi there.
I've always so terribly wanted to meet a young man, and now I've met 3 of them at once.
I've met 3 men at once. Sounded like a good idea, but It was very labor-intensive.
Could I get you some coffee?
Oh, I'm quite able to get it.
Let him get it for you. The morning after, all 3 of them will be passed out, and you won't even get one of them to pour you a bowl of dry cereal.
Science fiction is known for teaching us life lessons. And hopefully, from this last encounter, you take away the advice of not coming on hard to the 19-year-old daughter of your benevolent host in the middle of his very living room. Following lunch, Dr. Morbius was more than accommodating, offering to assist in any way he could to quicken the departure of Commander Adams and his crew. And who could blame him? But unfortunately for the doctor, the commander felt discovering an entire colony of scientists were dead warranted at least a phone call back to Earth for further instruction. Now, for whatever reason, the C-57D cruiser, sent on a mission specifically to check the status of Altair 4, was in no way fitted with any equipment strong enough to get word back to Earth base. Quite an oversight, to be sure, but one Dr. Morbius was more than willing to remedy. Our story continues back at the Star Cruiser's landing site, where the Doctor has loaned out Robbie the robot to build a transmitter that can communicate with Earth.
Where do you wish the shielding dropped, sir?
You can put it over there by the core. Thank you, Robbie.
Wait a minute. That's solid lead he's carrying.
Common lead will have crushed the vehicle, sir. This is my morning's run of isotope 217. The whole thing hardly comes to 10 tons. Pardon me, sir.
Robbie is amazing. Just think of what he could do on Earth.
Yeah, too bad we can't take him back with us.
And so begins the fateful series of events that will ultimately lead to the machines taking over the Earth.
Why, Standish, I'd have thought you'd appreciate Robbie's ability to replicate food and drink. Surely it would make your job a lot easier.
It would make it easier. And don't call me Shirley.
Hey, the food might be edible for once.
Not my fault that you people could build a spaceship that travels across the galaxy, but no one's invented the microwave yet.
Maybe you can ask Robbie for some tips.
Well, I mean, yeah, who doesn't dream of owning a replicator? Hey, Robbie! Robbie, wait up!
Doc, help me with these calculations, will you?
Of course, Commander.
Keep an eye on things while we're gone, Jerry.
You got it, Skipper. Look who's approaching. It's Alta. Well, the commander did say I should keep an eye on things.
Hello, Lieutenant.
Well, hello, Walter. Does your father know you're out here?
He did tell me not to go near the ship, but this isn't very near, is it?
You'd be farther away still if we took a walk.
I'm supposed to check in with Robbie.
Oh, he's occupied over there. Madison is following him around like a shadow. Now, come on, a walk's just what you need on a morning like this.
Well, all right.
Hey, Robbie!
Can I be of service, sir?
Sir, I get it. I'm in this horrible jumpsuit, and the only other woman you've ever seen is walking around dressed like a go-go dancer at a toga party.
Do you wish for a similar garment? I can produce one for you.
No, I wanted to ask you... Wait, you can?
Of course. I can scan your measurement and create a new garment for you in 24 hours.
Well, hey, when in Rome. Toga.
Please do not move. It is done. May I assist you with anything else?
Yeah, so here's the thing. We've been traveling for a solid year, right? And well, some of my supplies are getting low.
Which supplies are those? I am sure I can replicate them for you.
I was hoping you'd say that. I just have about 1 jolt left in this bottle. Asian rocket bourbon. When I first found it on board, I thought it was some sort of motor oil. Then about 5 months in and nothing but tang to drink, I thought, I don't care if I go blind. I'm drinking it.
May I examine the contents?
Sure.
Relatively simple alcoholic molecules with traces of jet fuel.
Jet fuel? Okay, that explains the blackouts.
Will 60 gallons be sufficient?
Gallons? Robbie, I have been from here to there in these old-timey radio shows, and I just want you to know you are, by far, the most understanding soul I have ever met up with.
Tomorrow night, sir, both the bourbon and the garment will be ready. Now, if you will pardon me, Miss Alta will be waiting.
Oh, I'll go find her. You just keep processing, or whatever you're doing.
By your command.
It's nothing personal, Alta. Just a kiss.
But, Lieutenant, why should people want to kiss each other?
Well, it's good for you. It stimulates the whole system. As a matter of fact, you can't be in tip-top health without it.
I didn't know that.
I'd only be too happy to show you.
Well, thank you very much, Lieutenant.
Oh, it's no trouble at all.
Is that all there is to it, this kissing?
Well, you've sort of got to stick with it.
I don't know. There must be something seriously the matter with me because, honestly, I haven't noticed the least bit of stimulation.
Honey, let's do this thing right. This time, let's give it the works, huh? All right, honey, now just let yourself go and...
Dude!
Oh, hello, Madison.
Madison!
You sleaze! She's not even out of her teens yet, and you gotta be like 35!
29!
Still gross.
The lieutenant was just showing me how to kiss. He said it was important for my health.
See? This is what happens when kids are homeschooled.
Madison, butt out. This isn't part of your cooking duties.
No, but it's part of my womaning duties.
Oh, so you are a woman.
I really hate this jumpsuit.
Just what is going on here?
Don't say another word, sir. I know there are a lot of pressing duties waiting for me back at the ship.
You're right, Lieutenant.
I'll, see you later, Alta.
Dismissed.
I'm glad you got here when you did, Commander. Clearly none of your crew have watched any of the sexual harassment training videos.
What's the matter? Why is everyone acting so funny?
Don't you understand, Alta? Look at yourself. You can't run around like that in front of a man. A girl like you, after a year in a spaceship, wearing nothing but that? Particularly in front of a space wolf like Jerry.
Are you seriously blaming her for what she's wearing?
What's wrong with my clothes?
Nothing. You have the right to wear whatever you want. If men can't control themselves, it's not on you.
Yes, it is. Alta, get out of here before I have you run out of the area under guard. Then I'll have to put more guards on the guards. Now get out of here, Alta.
Oh, you're just terrible.
How dare you?
Standish, I am your commanding officer and you will obey my orders. From this moment forth, you will be restricted to the galley. Do you understand?
But...
Not open for discussion. Dismissed.
I want to believe that attitudes towards women in the actual year of 2200 will be different, but it's been almost 70 years since this was written, and we haven't moved the needle an inch.
Well, this is as good a spot as any to have a promo break. So let me tell you about Irish science fiction and what I'm doing over on that podcast.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, top. Allumage Vulcain.
On the 13th of October, in the year 2025, European Space Agency Mission Control lost contact with the San Laika spacecraft. All 6 astronauts were presumed killed. But outer space is a busy place, and things are not always as they seem. Join European Space Agency Mission Specialist Nancy McGinley as she searches for an answer to the ultimate question. Is there such thing as magic? Or are we simply the heroes in our own stories? Irish Science Fiction presents Nancy Goodame, Space Ranger. And you can find it wherever you can find podcasts. All right, enough of that. Back to Madison on the Air's adaptation of the Caltex Theatre's adaptation of Forbidden Planet. So, night has fallen on the distant planet of Altair 4. 2 moons hang in the sky. Because when it's a futuristic sci-fi destination, it's all but mandatory to have excessive amounts of moons or suns to drive home the fact that this is, indeed, an alien planet. 2 guards outside monitoring the perimeter around the C-57D cruiser thought they heard something, but quickly dismissed it as wind released from another of one of Madison's stomach-unsettling dinners. As it turned out, something was there amidst the crew that night. For when everyone awoke the next morning, they quickly discovered the ship had been sabotaged, and the transmitter poor Robbie had been building was destroyed beyond repair. Commander Adams assembled an away team consisting of Doc Ostro and Madison. Why Madison? After all, she was confined to the galley. Well, this is her show after all. So, we continue the story as the three head out to confront Dr. Morbius about the sabotage.
I'm sorry, Commander Adams, but Dr. Morbius is working at the moment.
I don't care. Get him out here. This is urgent.
My orders are not to disturb him.
Relax, John. We can wait. I wouldn't mind learning more about your functions, Robbie, if that's all right.
Of course, Doctor. Come with me.
We're not going anywhere in a hurry anyway, John. Try to make the best of it.
I could go for more of that coffee Robbie replicated. On the ship, I've been using the same filter since April.
Fine. Just don't wander too far.
Hello.
Alta, I didn't see you there.
Do you like my new dress, Commander? It's long, you see. Nothing shows through.
Alta, I'm sorry about the way that I spoke to you yesterday.
I had this dress made especially for you, though I didn't really want to see you. You looked at me in that funny way. I suppose there's just something personally about me that you don't like.
Alta, you always look quite beautiful.
Well then, why don't you kiss me like everybody else does?
Everybody? Hasn't your father taught you anything at all?
Well, he says I'm terribly ignorant, but I've had poetry and mathematics and logic, physics and geology and biology.
Biology? Well, of course it was mainly on the theoretical side.
What's wrong with theory?
This.
That wasn't at all as I felt after the lieutenant kissed me. I feel different altogether.
Is that so?
Yes. With him, I felt no stimulation. With you, I felt...
Yes?
What is the opposite of stimulation?
I must go into the house. I have to see your father.
Oh, girl. They wrote you so ignorant and so horny. You are one scene away from humping the pizza delivery guy.
What do you mean?
Let's just say you're every guy's wet dream.
Does this also have to do with biology?
More like sex ed.
Oh, that's a subject my father never taught me.
Clearly.
You are learned in this subject?
I've definitely earned my extra credit.
Perhaps you can teach me.
What do you want to know?
Well, the kiss. The lieutenant and the commander both said it would stimulate me, but it did not. Am I doing something wrong?
Nah, not all guys do it for you.
May we try?
To kiss? Okay.
Oh, thank you. They said our lips touch like this. Oh, they didn't use their tongue.
Like I said, extra credit.
That did feel different. May we try it again?
Sure. Damn, girl.
Something wrong?
Nothing. You're a good student.
Is there anything else besides kissing?
Narrator! May we get some privacy over here, please?
Well, folks, sorry to drag you away. Unfortunately, the other scene that's underway is Dr. Morbius explaining that he did not sabotage the C-57D cruiser, and then him launching into great detail about the race that used to live on Altair 4. A bit dry by comparison, pun intended. The race were called the Krell, technologically advanced millions of light years ahead of mankind, as these alien races tend to be. They'd abolish sickness, insanity, crime, and all injustice within their society, which sounds pretty nice. But then they all perished in a single night.
Perished?
Yes, Doctor. In the 2,000 centuries since that unexplained catastrophe, even the cloud-piercing towers of glass and porcelain and adamantine steel have crumbled back into the soil of Altair 4. And nothing, absolutely nothing, remains above the ground. It's all here, under the ground.
Utterly incredible.
Well, gentlemen, already you've seen a certain amount. You've seen Krell metal with molecules so densely interlocked that your blasters make no kind of impact on it. You've seen mile upon mile of self-servicing, self-renewing machinery, still functioning as perfectly as when it was constructed more than 2,000 centuries ago. And this is one of their many advanced laboratories.
Dr. Morbius, what's this device?
Oh, one could describe that as a brain booster. There's a headset, electrodes at each end. You can see it was designed for something far bulkier than my human cranium.
And its function?
I'll activate it. Now, watch closely.
A figure's appearing. It's Alta.
Just a three-dimensional image, Doctor, because my daughter is alive in my brain from microsecond to microsecond. There. I remove the electrodes from my temples and the image vanishes. It is something of a strain.
Let me try. I put the headset on. I pull this switch. Now, is that right?
A figure's appearing. Hey, it's Alta too. But she's not wearing any...
Stop!
But I want to...
We know what you want to.
Commander, you'll never survive. Our benevolent skipper tried it. It was instantly fatal to him.
Oh, so you're immune to this too, Dr. Morbius.
In my first attempt at creating a brain image here, the shock rendered me unconscious for a whole day and a whole night.
Yet you came back for a second go at it.
It was a matter of science, Doctor. I have a great deal more to show you, gentlemen. Can you stay a further time away from your ship?
Yes, I believe so. I've left Chief Quinn in charge. I've ordered him to set up a standard perimeter.
And while Dr. Morbius showed Commander Adams and Doc Ostro around a smattering of sets from the MGM lot and a series of matte paintings, back at the C-57D landing site, Chief Quinn had been left in charge. Which kind of sucked for Jerry, who outranked him and all, but Jerry was trying to make it with the girl the commander wanted, so you can attribute this break in the chain of command to pure male ego. Quinn ran a rather impressive test of the newly erected electronic fence encircling the spacecraft. The crew members threw objects at it, and it zapped them back like a bug zapper on a porch in the Everglades.
That should keep any unwanted visitor from entering the camp.
Quinn?
Madison? What are you doing on that side of the fence?
Girl!
What was that?
Look, I forgot something. Could you do me a solid and turn off the fence for a sec so I don't end up extra crispy?
All right. Bosun, kill the power on the fence.
Aye, aye, sir.
You're clear to pass, Madison.
Stop it! They'll hear you.
The chance of getting caught is what makes it extra fun.
What?
Thank you!
Hurry it up, Madison.
Like the wind.
Sir, should we turn the power to the fence back on?
Not yet. Wait for my command, Bosun.
Just feels like we're leaving ourselves exposed for a pretty significant amount of time, sir.
It's fine. Don't worry about it. Madison, where are you going with that huge duffel?
Commander Adams forgot a few things, and he needed me to come back and get them.
All right, get going.
Thanks!
Bosun, put the power back on.
Aye, aye, sir. Sir, the fence appears to be shorting.
It's fine. No one's coming through.
Isn't it strange it's shorting out, sir? Should we check the whole system, sir?
We can check the whole system in the morning.
The morning, sir?
Yes, the morning.
I thought the fence was the one priority we were given, sir. If it's malfunctioning, shouldn't we try to get to the bottom of it now and not wait until the morning, considering it's our only safeguard?
Are you questioning my orders, Bosun?
Yes.
That's it. I'm going in the ship. You want to be in charge, Bosun? Congratulations, you're in charge.
Woohoo! Field promotion!
Meanwhile, Madison and Alta have met up with Robbie the robot in a discreet location.
$480 pints, sir, as you requested. Total 60 gallons.
What is all this?
A serious party.
Fun!
And your garment, sir.
Ooh! I'll save that for later. Now, Robbie, how about you replicating some of this stuff?
Oh, what is this? It's long and rubber and... Oh my. What is this for?
It's a little advanced for you, but I thought I'd have Robbie make you one of your own.
Oh, how thoughtful.
Here, Robbie.
Anything else?
Oh, yeah. I'm making sure she's well stocked.
Ooh, pretty beads.
Well, this is the theatre of the mind at its finest. So, back at Dr. Morbius's residence, Commander Adams and the Doc are trying to convince Morbius that he shouldn't be able to control all the super powerful alien technology and that the Earth's government should be able to control all the super powerful alien technology. Morbius thinks with his souped up brain, he is superior and the best to make any decisions. And, really, with the alternative being a government of any kind, there really is no right answer here. Then, just as their heated discussion is reaching an impasse, the commander is hailed from his ship.
Dr. Morbius, in the absence of special instructions, you leave me in a very awkward position. One moment. Commander Adams speaking.
Commander, this is Jerry.
Yes, what is it?
Skipper, Quinn's been murdered.
Quinn? Murdered?
He was alone in the ship. The rest of us were all outside on guard duty. His, body's been plastered all over the galley.
Leave everything as it is. We're on our way. Come on, Doc.
I warned you while your ship was still in space. I begged you not to land on the planet. Believe me, Commander, this is only a foretaste. Remain here, and the next attack upon your party will be more deadly.
Dr. Morbius, how do you know that?
No? Well, I seem to visualize it. If you wish, call it a premonition.
I bet it was that robot of yours. You made such a big show about how it couldn't harm rational life. What if that was all an act for our benefit?
No, it's true. Robbie cannot harm any rational beings.
And besides, Robbie was with us.
Hello, Father.
Alta, where have you been?
And why are you holding hands with Madison?
Don't be jealous.
Standish, come on. We have to get back to the ship.
Catch you later, Alta.
Call me.
A short bit later, back on the C-57D cruiser.
Doc, that's the foot of whatever it was that killed Chief Quinn last night?
Yes, I made this plaster model from the footprints we found. And the terrifying thing, Skipper, is that this runs counter to every known law of evolution.
Jerry, what have we discovered from Quinn's remains?
Madison is inspecting the galley now, Skipper. Commander, you, ready to hold your discipline on Madison?
Bring her to the bridge.
Well, I hope you don't expect me to clean that up. It looks like Quinn was stuffed in a blender, they hit puree, and then forgot to put on the lid.
Jerry here says the electronic fence was deactivated in order to allow you passage.
Oh, you are not trying to hang this on me. What? Just because I could get Alta all hot and bothered and you couldn't?
That has nothing to do with...
Commander, maybe you and I ought to drop over to the Krell laboratory and get our brains boosted. Then maybe we could understand all this.
I'll go too.
You'll do nothing of the sort.
I left some of my things there with Robbie. I have to get them back. They're precious to me.
Skipper, radar just picked up something at the top of the gully, heading this way.
OnCom. Automatic control. Batteries. Fire.
Jeez! You don't even know what it is and you fired on it?
Get on target, Skipper, but it's still coming.
I'll stop it.
Get back, bosun.
Whoa! That was a stupid and unnecessary death.
Skipper, it's still coming.
Fire.
Still coming, sir.
Fire. Fire. Fire!
And while the movie version of Forbidden Planet produced a pretty impressive battle scene for the 1950s, unfortunately, they didn't do much with it for the radio drama. So just like that, the monster disappeared as quickly as it came, and the commander and Doc proceeded to yammer on about what it was and what to do next. Ultimately, it was decided that Dr. Morbius and Alta should be removed from the planet, by force if necessary, and all of the alien technology destroyed. Because if humans don't understand something, the most obvious conclusion is always to blow it to smithereens. So the commander, Doc, and Madison who insisted she needed to retrieve her things or else she would make the return journey back miserable for all parties concerned, hurried to retrieve the mad scientist doctor and his new to the pleasures of womanhood daughter.
So now we just pick up the girl and her father, whether they like it or not?
Section 86A. Evacuate all civilians from disaster area.
It wasn't a disaster area until we got here.
Standish, what are you wearing? You're completely out of uniform.
Excuse me, but I was up to my ankles in Chief Quinn goo and had to change out of my jumpsuit.
Well, it's rather revealing.
Control your hormones, Commander. Unlike olde-tyme, I've defended myself against frat boys and know where to strike to cause optimum damage.
Skipper, I'm still concerned about our departure. If you remember the Bellerophon expedition, their ship was vaporized trying to lift off.
Which makes it a gilt-edged priority that I get into that Krell lab and take the brain boost.
Why you?
Yeah, why you?
Well, I don't know of any other way we can hope to combat this thing.
You remember what Morbius said happened when the Bellerophon's commander took that brain boost?
Madison!
My God, right in front of us?
Uh-huh.
Standish, stand down.
Oh, I'm so glad to see you. And I love what you're wearing.
Right? Robbie is amazing. I can't wait to see his fall line.
Excuse me, we were attacked by a monster. Men died. If that matters to you.
Not really.
Yeah, hey, so Alta, we gotta get you and your dad out of here.
We have to see to your safety. We fought the monster and lost, and I believe it'll come back.
My father will never agree to leave.
Well, you know, it's up to you guys.
I can't leave you.
Ow! Oh, she's like a boa constrictor with boobs.
Then come with us.
I can't possibly leave Father alone. I just can't.
Can you let me breathe?
Oh, darling, darling, please go. Please, if you love me, go.
Okay.
You need to come with us. You and your father are not immune. No one could be immune to that thing.
I can't go.
Doc, can you talk some sense into her? Hey, Doc? Where is he? The doc was right here.
I might need a doctor. I think she dislocated both of my shoulders.
Here is the doctor, sir.
Doc.
Hey, in the poster, Robbie is carrying Alta. But in the story, he actually carries the doctor? It makes him look like a little kid being carried to bed by his daddy.
Lay him on the sofa, Robbie.
Doors open to the laboratory. Doc, you took the brain boost?
You ought to see my new mind. Up there in lights, on the indicator. Bigger than Morbius.
It's always about size with men.
What is?
Don't worry, I got you some options.
Listen, Morbius was too close to the problem. The Krell had completed their final project. True creation. Creation of life. But they forgot one thing.
Refrigeration?
What?
If you're creating life, you don't want it to spoil.
Monsters from the inn.
The inn?
The inn? What? They're monsters because they didn't get their continental breakfast?
Doc?
Did the doc just die on the sofa? I hope Robbie's equipped to deep clean upholstery.
Oh, darling.
Damn, girl, you are clingy.
How romantic.
Father.
Alta, we gotta talk about personal boundaries.
The doc is dead.
He was warned, and now he's paid. As though his ape's brain could contain the secrets of the Krell.
Father, you've chosen for me. Madison, I'm ready to go with you.
Alta, no. She mustn't do this. She must be prevented.
She is old enough to make her own decisions. Maybe not mentally, but definitely physically.
Morbius, as Doc was dying, he said the brain booster showed him the inn. What is the inn?
The inn? Oh, you mean the id? It's an obsolete term once used to describe the elementary basis of the subconscious mind.
Monsters from the id, the subconscious mind.
What?
All right, I got this. The alien technology was operated by the electromagnetic impulses of individual Krell brains, and in return, that machine would instantaneously project solid matter to any point on the planet, creation by mere thought. But the Krell forgot one deadly danger: their own subconscious hate and lust for destruction. So those mindless beasts of the subconscious had access to a machine that could never be shut down. The secret devil of every soul on the planet, all set free to maim, take revenge, and kill. Right. Everyone got that? Good stuff. We're almost there.
But the last Krell died some 2,000 centuries ago. Yet there's still a living monster at large upon this planet. A monster created by the subconscious mind of someone.
Your mind refuses to face the conclusion.
What?
Dude, it's you.
Me?
Morbius.
What he said.
Morbius. Something's approaching from the southwest, breaking down trees in its path. Quite close.
The monster, that thing out there, is you. It was your subconscious that created it.
It doesn't matter. Alta and I are immune.
I am not immune, Father. I've joined myself, body and soul, with Madison.
What now?
Say it's a lie. Say you don't love this woman.
Not even if I could.
Whoa, love? Hey, we've had a good time, but...
Stop it. Robbie, don't let it in. Kill it, Robbie.
Robbie can do nothing, Morbius. He knows it's your other self.
Robbie's circuits are overheating.
Danger, Will Robinson.
I am not a monster.
We're all part monsters in our subconscious. That's why we have laws and religion.
Yeah, because human beings won't be good unless there's fear of negative consequences. And even then.
Father!
If you don't do something about it soon, Morbius, your monster is going to be coming right through that door.
Solid Krell metal? It's impossible.
The machines are going to supply your monster with whatever amount of power is required.
My evil self is at that door, and I have no power to stop it.
Father, you can help us.
Somebody better do something quick or we'll all be pureed.
Yes, I can help you. Commander, throw that switch.
This?
Yes. Throw it. In 24 hours, the Krell furnaces. A chain reaction has begun. Can't be reversed. You must go far away. Take Alta with you.
No, Father!
Please! Go! Quickly!
We must hurry.
Typical! Using self-destruction to avoid dealing with your own responsibility to the problem and forcing everyone around you to deal with the fallout.
And so the C-57D space cruiser got the heck out of Dodge. The commander made sure to make Alta watch the monitor as her home planet of Altair 4 and her father exploded and were completely obliterated, making the commander a bit less like a good guy and a bit more like Grand Moff Tarkin testing the Death Star on Alderaan. His comfort to her was simply,
about 1 million years from now, the human race will have crawled up to where the Krells stood in their great moment of triumph and tragedy. Your father's name will shine again like a beacon in the galaxy. It'll remind us that we are, after all, not God.
Thereby smacking us directly between the eyes with the heavy-handed moral of our story. But what became of Madison and Alta, you might be asking yourself? Well, Madison, not quite prepared at this stage in her life to make any real commitments, what with being trapped in old-time radio shows and being far too immature for a healthy relationship, went on to her next show. Alta, a product of what the 1950s imagined the future to be, became roommates with a lady volleyball coach and lived happily ever after. So ends our adaptation of the Caltex play Forbidden Planet. We hope you laughed a little and learned a little. I've been your narrator, Brian Sexton, and thank you for listening.
The Caltex Theater started in 1941 as the Macquarie Radio Theater, Macquarie being the network that aired the program, but changed to the Caltex Theater in 1947 after sponsorship was taken over by the Caltex Oil Company, a division of Chevron. The series ran on Sunday nights at 8 p.m. throughout the 40s and 50s, becoming Australia's answer to Hollywood's Lux Radio Theatre, broadcasting hour-long adaptations of popular books and movies of the era. Forbidden Planet was a natural choice for the series to adapt, being a groundbreaking science fiction film, the first to depict humans traveling through space in a man-made, faster than the speed of light ship, and being entirely set on a far-off planet. A movie that would influence all science fiction for generations to come. Hey everybody, it's Madison. Thank you so much for listening. And a huge thanks to Brian Sexton of Irish Science Fiction for being our narrator. You seriously need to check out his show. And OMG, you guys, we've started a Patreon page. Become a Madison member. We're going to be rolling out some cool exclusive stuff. But hey, it's also a great way to help us continue making new episodes. Link in the show notes. But really, even if you just give us 5 stars, a nice review, or spread the word on your favorite socials, anything to let the world know that women are funny. Okay, Robbie, roll the credits.
Madison On the Air was written and produced by Chrisi Talyn Saje, with music composition and audio engineering by Jeremy Sage. The role of Madison Standish was played by Chrisi Talyn Saje. James C. Taylor appeared as Commander Adam, and Kareem Cronfley appeared as Dr. Morbius. Other actors in the cast were Marty Warner as Alta, Jeremy Sage as Robbie the Robot, Scott R. McKinley as Doc Ostro, AJ Cruz as Jerry, AJ Fidalgo as Lieutenant Quinn, and our narrator was played by Brian Sexton. Danger, Will Robinson. I do not understand. Why is that funny?